Well, good evening, everybody. Didn't they look great? Another round of applause for our graduates. Hello, beloved students, faculty, and staff scattered around, keeping this place so beautiful. Welcome to all the proud families here to celebrate the Batten School class of 2025. So my name is Ian Solomon. I am the Dean of the Frank Batten School of Leadership and Public Policy. Hopefully that's obvious. Welcome to this beautiful Paramount Theater. Weren't this morning's final exercises on the lawn just spectacular? Yeah, what a special day. And what a privilege to watch our graduates walk down the historic UVA lawn. And some of you will appreciate this, and I have a picture to prove it. Dante was watching from the balcony. And to the parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles, partners, cousins, siblings, friends, thank you. Your presence today is a statement about what you value and whom you value, and we value them too. It's a day of joy, of pride, of reflection, a day when we pause to recognize not only your achievements, but also the community that helped make those achievements possible. So as President Ryan and Professor Suarez both said this morning, no one gets to this stage on their own or alone. Behind every diploma, behind the certificate, is a story of late night phone calls, encouraging texts, probably some money, pep talks, probably more money, many really vital moments of encouragement, inspiration, and advice. So I want to take a moment to recognize you, the loved ones who've walked alongside these graduates. And I know we have at least a few graduates whose parents are overseas and not able to be here with them, but they are loved ones too, and they're supporting you from afar. Let's think about them. And graduates, please join me in giving your families a hearty round of applause. If I can give yourselves a round of applause too. And now look around at each other, my dear graduates. Getting through the Batten School successfully is a team effort. You've supported each other on your group projects, on shared assignments, through feedback and study sessions. Perhaps you helped each other find free food, 3 meals a day, or joined one another for a drink, for yoga, for karaoke, for fire pits, for s'mores. There may be some planned for this evening. These past 2 years have not been easy ones. There have been a lot of moments of stress and hard work, fear, sense of loss, sometimes anger and disappointment, but there's also been a lot of fun, a lot of friendship, a lot of good memories. So I applaud you, class of 2025, as a collective force for good in the world. I hope you'll always stand up for each other and have each other's backs, that you'll invest in each other's successes and each other's resilience in the face of challenges. And whether you agree with each other or not, may you always give each other the benefit of the doubt and have a presumption of good faith. And I hope you can tell how much love for you there is among the faculty and the staff at the Batten School, who've worked so hard and continuing to work to make you successful and to help you. And I want to personally thank our amazing Batten staff and faculty for their tireless efforts that have made today and all the details and also all the big decisions and also the fact that they're all actually getting degrees possible. So I also want to recognize 2 staff members who I know have meant a lot to you. Dr. Jeff Chittister, who I see hiding down the aisle over there. and Dr. Sean Anderson. And there's so many staff I could thank and acknowledge who made this possible, but they actually walked today and received their diplomas or their degrees with you. This is a very special place with a lot of heart and soul. And so much of that is due to our students. And there are quite a few personalities in this group. I have a lot of memories of this group. And I know you've had lots of really special shared experiences, special moments of triumph, as well as moments of embarrassment. This is a class that will be remembered for a very long time. And I'm proud of you. I'm proud of what I know you will attempt and what I believe you will accomplish for humanity and for this planet. And we're all proud of you. And I'm excited to hear from one of your own in a few minutes who will capture more of the indomitable spirit and unforgettable nature of this class with some special stories. So without further ado, I invite Dean Rockwell to come up to the podium to introduce this evening's student speaker.
Thank you, Dean Solomon. Given the remarkable talent of this graduating class as a whole, it is an especially great honor to introduce the student speaker chosen to represent the MPP class of 2025. Anna Thomas is a 2022 graduate of Christopher Newport University, where she earned her BA in Communication Studies and Political Science. Before joining the Batten community, Anna served as an admission officer at her alma mater and later completed a prestigious White House internship in spring 2023. During her time at Batten, Anna interned at FEMA headquarters in Washington, D.C., and worked with the Virginia Army National Guard on her applied policy project, developing innovative policy solutions aimed at improving soldier retention. After graduation, Anna plans to build a career at the intersection of leadership, government, and public affairs. Please welcome Anna to the podium.
Dean Rockwell, thank you for that kind introduction. I'm going to try very hard not to cry. Dean Solomon, distinguished faculty and staff, friends and family, and my fellow graduates, it is an honor to stand before you today as a part of the Batten MPP class of 2025. Yeah. I remember sitting in Chibo 2 years ago, the Batten orientation program, listening to the rising second years warn and motivate us for the long nights ahead. I thought to myself, if it was hard for them, it's going to be harder for me. Fully aware that I didn't come from a quantitative background, I decided to engage in this experience the way my parents advised me. Be curious. Don't think about what you know. Think about what you're learning. Ask questions. Don't assume. I didn't succeed in that all the time. In fact, there's one moment in particular where I know I failed. A shared experience I think many of my fellow graduates will remember. Now, I'm going to pick on Professor Wu for a second, but I promise he ends up being the hero in the end. It was our first semester of graduate school. It might have been our very first midterm. In the first segment of the Research Methods and Data Analysis course sequence. On the first page of the exam, I remember it vividly, was a series of multiple choice questions. And the last question on that first page read something along the lines of, which of the following are true? Select all that apply. We've all seen this before. I remember reading the question, looking at the answer options, and feeling dumb. None of the answers looked correct or even more correct than the others. So I selected two options that I felt like could apply. About a week or two later, when grades came out, Professor Wu took some time out of lecture to go over some of the commonly missed questions, and lo and behold, that one multiple choice question was pretty commonly missed. Professor Wu shared a little trick about that question. Although it read, select all that apply, the right answer was, in fact, none of them. None of the answer options actually applied. For the first time in my life, a professor, a teacher, was telling me it would have been best if I had left the multiple choice question blank. And I was immediately frustrated. I felt tricked or even cheated, but I didn't pick a fight. Besides, even if I had gotten that multiple choice question correct, it certainly would not have saved my midterm grade. But why? Why did I feel so frustrated? Because I hadn't seen anything like it before? Because it made me uncomfortable? I know this sounds silly, but that one multiple choice question taught me two really important lessons. One, challenge my assumptions, and two, think critically. This, again, might sound silly, but I assumed I knew how to answer a multiple choice question. I assumed I knew what the question was asking of me. In fact, I was so sure of how to process that question that I doubled down on my answers, selecting two incorrect options, when my gut told me that none of them were right. I forced it to fit because I thought that's how it had to work, even when something inside me told me that I knew better. I didn't stop to challenge myself. I didn't stop to challenge my assumptions. The other lesson is a second but related point. Once I had challenged my assumptions, had I actually done so, I would have been able to critically consider each option in front of me. I would have been able to ask myself, what do I already know about this? Or more importantly, what don't I know? What makes me unsure? What am I missing? I know it sounds trivial to recall one exam question from 2 years ago, but it wasn't a trivial lesson for me. Somebody asked me a question in a way I had never been asked before, and I promise it's not the last time it'll ever happen to me. In fact, I consider us lucky if we come across people that think critically enough to pose ideas to us in new ways. We have to challenge ourselves. We can't just reject people or their ideas because they're new or nuanced. And I think this is, at its core, what Batten's been trying to teach us. How many times do I have to remind myself to not assume anything about the person standing right in front of me? If I challenge my own assumptions, then I've given them more of a chance to prove me wrong. And just like that multiple choice question, it's a good thing to be proven wrong every now and again. Somewhere in us, our instincts are kicking us in that direction anyway. So whether we're dealing with the humanity of today's modern policy issues or the costing of some horrible policy evaluation, we have to think critically about the decisions we're making and if we've jumped too quickly to our conclusions. I've learned from our Batten curriculum, from our professors, from my classmates, even in the toughest conversations, you've taught me how to think. I'm so grateful for the Batten family for pushing me to be better and inspiring me to continue to better myself. Many of us came to graduate school because we wanted to invest in ourselves so that we could later go and invest in our communities. I reflect on the fact that this investment feels worth it to me today. But more importantly, if we continue to consider these lessons, it'll be worth it for our communities for years to come. I hope you reflect on that today, and that you're not the same person you are when you started. You're better. You're a thinker. You're a leader. We will think and we will lead our communities, our country, the world, from wherever we are and from anywhere. Thank you.
Anna, that was terrific. Another round of applause for Anna Thomas. Professor Wu, we know your tricks. Thank you for that. That was really terrific. And you're talking about curiosity and what the surprising things you might learn from classmates, from faculty, from colleagues, and the surprising things that others learn about you from hearing you engage with them. I recall I was in an event in the garden behind Pavilion 10, where most of you have spent time, and talking with a retired Batten faculty member, Professor Janine Braithwaite, who was retiring in part so she could spend more time on her Harley Davidson. Kai asked about where my writing came from. And it was a great conversation. It was fascinating. I was very curious. And I followed your advice. I asked lots of questions to understand about it. And my wife overheard this curiosity. And 2 summers ago, just before Chibo and your adventure with Batten began, my wife, who heard this conversation, Marcia, she enrolled the 2 of us for motorcycle lessons. It was somewhat of a rash just as she heard this conversation. She thought I got excited. She's like, oh, this will be a fun gag Father's Day gift. And the course was offered right in Albemarle High School parking lot by the Motorcycle Safety Foundation, and began with 5 hours of online learning, pre-recorded videos, information about how to maintain proper distances, refreshers on road safety, how to find alternative pathways to steer clear of danger, which is very important on a motorcycle. Being somewhat competitive, Marcia and I raced to see who'd finish first and score highest. Not only Batten students who were competitive. It was a wake-up call for me because I realized how much road information I routinely ignored while driving, how many assumptions I must make without paying proper attention to trick questions. Marcia, turns out, is far more alert as a driver, at least the driver on an online exam, than I was. Fortunately, our scores were sufficient to advance to the in-person training, and on the day of the training, it was about 95 degrees in the morning, and we met Mac and Joe, our instructors. They assigned us motorcycles. They went through the basics of this is the clutch, these are the brakes, here's the throttle. They taught us how to lean on the bike for turns, how to shift gears. And we practice each skill the way you've learned some of your lessons, right? First, we'd listen to Mac or Joe explain and tell us about the skill and the theory. Then we'd observe them actually conducting the exercise, so we watched off our motorcycles. Then we'd put on our helmets and we would try it ourselves. We'd often fail and get feedback, so we would try again and then move on to the next exercise, increasing in difficulty. A few of the students obviously had been so-called riding dirty, means they already actually were seasoned riders who knew what they were doing, who just never gotten licensed. The class also had 2 UVA PhD students who were eager to acquire what are sometimes called crotch rockets, or speed bikes, which struck me as a questionable idea, but I'm also reminded Anna about not making assumptions and keeping an open mind. And of course, like Batten, maybe even like Professor Wu's class, not all of us made it through. One student got stuck on the lesson about counter steering, which I can explain later or show you on my bike. Another dropped their bike dramatically in frustration and was encouraged to take a break. Marcia herself decided she was going to try again another time. But after 9 sweltering hours on blacktop over 2 days, it was time for the exam, and I was really nervous. At one point, I grabbed the front brake lever too hard and came up on my front wheel, rear tire high over my head before it came back to ground. My heart raced, my hand was still shaking, my ego withered on the vine. But finally, Joe read the results. The PhD students, they passed. The seasoned dirty riders, they passed. A few people were told they'd need to retake the course and pay all over again for it. I passed, not by much, but I passed. And then Joe gathered us and said something important. Congratulations, you've earned your motorcycle licenses. You are now qualified to ride 25 miles per hour in an empty parking lot. If you want to be safe and responsible riders, you have to go out into the streets. You have to learn to deal with other drivers and everything they might do, with potholes, with construction debris, or inclement weather. You have to learn to handle whatever comes your way. If you want to be a good rider, you have to ride. My dear graduates, that's where you are now. You've completed your training. You've studied public policy, design and analysis, economics, ethics, negotiation, statistics, behavioral sciences, leadership, and more. You've practiced in classrooms, through simulations, through service in your applied policy projects, on internships and fellowships. You've learned from each other and from our devoted faculty how to break down problems, how to build up solutions, how to exercise leadership with purpose and grounded in values. Now it's time to leave the parking lot, and that is my charge to you. Take your learning into the streets, into our communities, into organizations and institutions, into the messy, unpredictable, high stakes, and sometimes even dangerous world of public service. And yes, it's a challenging time to do so, more challenging than you may have expected when you started this journey. We are living through an era of enormous social and political change. Trust in institutions is fragile. Inequality is persistent. Climate change is accelerating. Democracy is under pressure as global conflicts proliferate. Technology is transforming everything from how we work to how we relate to one another. But these times like these turbulent, complex, polarized times are exactly what you've been preparing for. And you are prepared. You are ready. There is no one else for you to wait for. Some of you will end up serving as policy advisors, helping governors, mayors, members of Congress with decisions that affect millions of people. You'll be the ones who ask the hard questions, who bring evidence to the table, who remind policymakers that it's people that matter behind policies. I hope some of you will run for office and be political candidates who bring integrity, courage, and compassion to public life, who knock on doors and listen to your neighbors and fight for our common good. Among you are people who will lead nonprofits and community organizations, working in places like inner city Richmond or small towns in Appalachia, some of the Tadler Fellows especially, places where opportunity is uneven, but potential is everywhere. You'll help families access housing, food, education, justice, dignity. And I know a few of you intend to become teachers, shaping the next generation of thinkers, doers, dreamers. And I know you'll transform, and some of you already have transformed, classrooms and also your schools, or you'll just remake education policy, ensuring that every child, no matter their zip code, has a chance to learn and to thrive. Some of you will work in health policy, expanding access to care, addressing mental health and other disparities, and improving health outcomes for all. Or you'll help to bring peace to a dangerous and chaotic world, fostering freedom, economic opportunity, and peace through work in national security, humanitarian affairs, development, or diplomacy. A few of you will eventually start your own organizations as entrepreneurs or as philanthropists like Frank Batten. And I know many of you do not yet know how or where you will serve. And maybe your immediate next step is simply more learning, and maybe you're still looking. An ability to not know, and to not know with equanimity or serenity, as we heard from the BAs. And to not know with equanimity and serenity in a world that fetishizes certainty is also a gift to practice and cultivate. But all of you, no matter your varied paths, will be called upon to exercise leadership rooted in curiosity that transcends the crude assumptions and finds the true humanity in people. And you'll lead not with arrogance, but with humility, not with certainty, but with curiosity, not with fear, but rather with a fierce hope. Because leadership is not about having the answers, it's about showing up and accepting responsibility. It's about listening. It's about building trust, especially when trust is in short supply. It's about taking risks and empowering others. You've learned the theory, you've practiced the skills. The real test, the one that matters, is out there in the public. It's in the community meeting where tempers flare and people don't feel heard and understood. It's in the policy memo that could change the access for a family to critical services. It's in the lonely and frequently frightening moment when you have to choose courage and decide to speak up. And just like in that motorcycle class, you'll make mistakes. You'll stall out, you'll take a turn too wide, you might even fall. You'll get feedback and you'll course correct, you'll get back up and try again. That's not failure, that's learning. Humility is indispensable, but so is courage. And over time, you'll build confidence, judgment, resilience. You'll get better at maintaining balance, at leaning safely into life's curves and dodging the inevitable curveballs and potholes. You'll get better about building networks of allies and the friendships that will sustain you. And so, my dear beloved graduates, as you prepare to leave this very special place of Charlottesville, remember, you are not just graduates, you are public servants, you are bridge builders, you are leaders. You are not alone, you have all of us and you have each other. And the world needs you, not someday, but right now. So, class of 2025, ride safely. Lead boldly, stick together, and never stop learning. Congratulations, we love you.
Thank you, Dean Solomon, for reminding us to look for important life lessons in the course of our everyday lives. I would now like to invite Associate Dean for Academic Affairs, Professor Eileen Chow, to join Dean Solomon to help present our students with their graduate certificates and ceremonial diplomas. The real ones, as they say, are coming in the mail. I am pleased to announce that 11 students have successfully completed the academic requirements for Batten's Graduate Certificate in Public Leadership, and 3 students have completed the requirements for the Graduate Certificate in Public Policy. We begin this portion of the ceremony by recognizing a standout member of our certificate cohort, someone who has earned graduate certificates in both public leadership and public policy. As he comes to the stage to receive his certificates, please join me in recognizing Paul Yvon Maurice Lametta. Congratulations, Paul, and thank you for setting such a high standard for the future students who will follow in your footsteps through our growing certificate programs. Félicitations. Now we turn to the graduate degree portion of today's celebration. 77 students have completed the requirements for the Master of Public Policy degree. Dean Solomon, family, and friends, it is our great pleasure to present the 2025 candidates for the University of Virginia's Master of Public Policy degree program. Andrew Michael Adams. Priscilla Ariam Akpalu. Emily Catherine Anstedt. Adam David Ashley. Hana Munafal Elnur Bachit. Sarah Margaret Barnett. Morgan Paige Berry, who we would also like to recognize as this year's recipient of the Z Society's Edgar F. Shannon Award. Skylar Ann Brement. Caroline Carter Brown. Hannah Colleen Brunn. Kelsey Margaret Cashman. Yu Yan Cheng. Jimmy Albert Christ. Shane Lennon Cohen. Dylan Scott Craig. Carson Grace Crenshaw. Sarah Cruz. Henry DeMarco. Justice Autumn Demby. Matthew Alexander Dikolovich. Rosemarie Catherine Dojak. Jennifer Condis Donovan. Riley Ann Dowd. Jack Ensminger. Rachel Fu. Claire Geith. Michaela Maupin Gray. Peter Hutchins Grubel. William Robinson Ham. Ahmed Yasser Hassin. Michaela Beth Havison. Jessica Rosemary Hyder. Marvin Nicholas Michael Hirt. Jenna Leilani Chong Huber. Amy Anastasia Jones Burdick. Sheila Elizabeth Joyce. Hannah Mason King. David Lafferty. Allison Rose Landergan. Charles William Lehman Jr. Christine Isabel Leach. Alejandro Juan Lozano Kramer. Anthony Jordan Madurma. Grace Marie Macon. Michael Griffin Massengel. Caitlin Lee Matthews. Elizabeth Maria Miles. Justin Michael Minkoff. Mariama Mohammed Sani. Jacob Brian Moore. Alvin Tran Nguyen. Benjamin Broer Nilsson. Ian Charles Novak. Carlos Javier Olivares. Jane Savage Otto. Deanna Elizabeth Padilla. Callista Amber Pepper. Jordan Kimberly Fan. Andrew Joseph Pomerantz. Allison Marie Pope. Maria Remen. Ashley Jeanette Rodriguez Benavides. William Bengt Rousen. Peyton Christine Russell. Zane Matthew Ruzica. Catherine Isabel Sanchez Crow. Eltina Adama Sankoff. Charles Lockwood Sewell. Konstantin Shelkunov. Sarah Beth Spakes. Joshua Quayle Stevenson. Anna Elizabeth Thomas. John Henry Van Zant. Dorothy Levon Witherspoon. Janae Wright. Shanchi Wu. Sansang Sani Yang. and Alexis Ann Yeager. Please join me once again in recognizing this outstanding group of policy leaders. I would now like to invite to the podium Kai Chardine, a Batten graduate and representative of the Batten School Class of 2024, for the presentation of alumni. Joining Kai is the president of the Batten Graduate Council, Jenny Otto.
On this scroll, you will find the names of the 77 members of the Batten School Master of Public Policy Class of 2025. It is my privilege to represent my class and to ask you to formally add our names to the roster of thousands of distinguished University of Virginia alumni who have preceded us. We pledge to remain loyal stewards of our program, to engage thoughtfully with even those who may disagree on policy issues, to uphold the example that Batten alumni have set before us, and of course, to return to grounds to visit often.
Good evening. It's a true honor to be here to celebrate you, the graduating class of 2025. On behalf of all UVA Batten alumni, congratulations. As public policy graduates, you're stepping into a world that urgently needs thoughtful, principled leadership. Whether you work in government, advocacy, research, or the nonprofit sector, you now have the tools to drive change and shape policy that serves the public good. Today, you join a global alumni network, a community committed to making a difference. Wherever your path leads, as Dean Solomon said earlier, you are not alone. Stay connected, share your journey, and keep leading with purpose. Welcome to the Alumni Association. We're proud of you, and we can't wait to see what you do next. Thank you, and congratulations again.
Thank you, Kai. Thank you, Jenny. Thank you, wonderful graduates. Thank you, Dean Rockwell. Thank you, Dean Chow. Thank you, all the faculty on the stage up here. And let's please join for a final large, loud, and rowdy congratulations to the Batten class of 2025. You're also amazingly obedient. Where did they come from? If I can ask you, though, to take your seats, because this concludes today's ceremony. But I'd love it if our parents and loved ones could stay seated while the guests on the stage start to proceed out, followed by our graduates. And they're going to meet out in front of the theater where they'll have a group photo. But if once we proceed out, then we'd love you to find us out in front of the theater. Really special to be with you for the past couple of years. We hope you won't be strangers, but we'll get good pictures out in the next few minutes. Congratulations. And I think we have some musical accompaniment.